moving right along. Want to acknowledge all of our sponsors at this time. So a big thank you to all our sponsors, starting with our visionary sponsors. Thanks to LabCorp, and I see that they don't have any announcements today. LabCorp, we are so appreciative of the sponsorship that you provide us. Our sustaining sponsors today are Impact Aliments and Walmart Supply Chain. I don't see either of them that have announcements, but want to thank them for being our sustaining sponsors. Next, we have our supporting sponsors, Glen Raven and Exceed Technology. And I see Barbara is here. I won't call her Brenda today. Barbara is here, and I see that she has an announcement. So Barbara, go ahead and unmute and go at it.
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to tell a little bit about Exceed Technology. We are new here to the area, but a very new growing business. So we do voice over IP phones. That's our main thing that we do. We love helping businesses save money and work with a lot of nonprofits. So we have personalized customer service. So if you're not getting good service from your phone provider, you know, we'd love to help you and do free assessments. But we're great, Exceed Technology, and looking for business in our local area. We do as well do all 50 states and Canada, so we can help everyone. Thanks so much for being here today.
Okay, I lost the window, but I'm back in action. So on to our major sponsors. We have, excuse me, Elon University, Alamance Chamber of Commerce. I want to make sure I don't see anybody from there. And we have Proponent Federal Credit Union. And Samantha Loy with Always Best Care Senior Services has an announcement for us. Yeah.
Good morning, guys. I just want to remind everyone of the Walk to End Alzheimer's this Saturday at the Historic Depot downtown Burlington. Registration is at 9 and then the ceremony starts at 10. You guys are welcome to join our team. I will put the information in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Samantha. Next, we have Truliant Federal Credit Union, and I see that Robbie has an announcement.
Hi, folks. I'm Robbie Hurdle with Truliant. Thanks for having us today and allowing us to be a sponsor. And thank you all for all you do in the community. Major announcement for us is, you know, we're as active as in the community as you guys are. I'm thankful that we have just opened a new branch where I'm sitting right here at 915 South Main Street in Graham. We also have a branch in Mebane. Some of you might know that. Mebane, University Drive and Elon and Alamance Road in Burlington. We have always strived to put people before profits and do things like free no-cost credit reviews, financial advising, accounts for newly established, you know, young folks trying to build credit and savings and all sorts of things in between. So if there's something we can do to help you or your institutions and organizations, we would love to do that. But yeah, definitely come see us, and thank you all for all you do and for having us today.
Awesome. Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you.
As folks are jumping on, I am going to ask that you mute yourself so we don't have any issues with audio. And thanks for doing that. Thank you, Robbie. Prime Personnel Resources. Anything from you guys? Okay. Moving on to our corporate sponsors. We have got Milestone Wealth Management with Aaron Cockman, who is one of our members and previous board chair. Twin Lakes Community, Katie Smith Photography, and Gillian Bell Mosier. So thanks to all our sponsors. We couldn't do what we do if you didn't do what you do. So we really appreciate your support. Thanks for all of you who are here. Thanks for all of you who work to make our community a better place alongside us. We really enjoy partnering with you all and really appreciate your support. All right, want to give a big shout out to the members of Women's Resource Center. Thank you so much for being our supporters. We appreciate your attendance at events like this. We appreciate your time and resources, and we appreciate the way that you support us financially. We really appreciate all of our supporters. Big shout out to you all. Shout out to my fellow board members. The board of directors of the Women's Resource Center is really amazing. Very hardworking group of women and men who really want to make the community that we live in a better place, and we are partnering with you all to do that. Go ahead and mark your calendars right now if you haven't already for our next Working Women's Wednesday on October 27th. It's hard to believe that our next Working Women's Wednesday is in October, since right now it's still June. So weird. So yeah, October 27th, we'll have Denise Breedlove, Sheena Lambert, and Ann Shaver of Cone Health talking about breast cancer, which obviously is a topic that's very important to many of the members of this group. Let me see. Want to jump back to supporters, you can make a donation online at wrcac.org/donate, and we will put that link in the chat to make it super easy for you. We just want to make it convenient for you to be a supporter of ours. And with that, I will, oh, there she is. I couldn't find you for a second, Susan. I will bump the mic over to Susan Watson, our Executive Director of the Women's Resource Center.
Great. Thank you, Kathy. And thank you, everybody, for being here today. I'm just going to go with what's on the screen right now. I want to make sure that you know what season it is. It's Leading the Way. So we are currently taking nominations from the community for women who are leading the way in Alamance County. This is our one of our annual fundraising events that helps support the work that we do. And we're really excited to be able to honor and recognize women's leadership in Alamance County. So the deadline for these nominations is 9/30. That is not long. If you go out to our website, you can find the nomination packets and all the requirements that go along with it. It's really a very simple process. We will have an event that will be virtual this year on November the 4th, where we will present awards to outstanding women in the community. And we will also have a silent auction that leads up to that. So we want you to stay tuned. But more importantly, right now, we need nominations. So who do you know? Please check it out and get in touch with us and let us know that you've got somebody on your mind that you would really like to honor and recognize. With that, I'd like to introduce our team today. Our team has grown since we were last here. Kate Meyer, I'm going to ask each one of them to raise their hand on the screen so that our audience can put a face to a name. Kate Meyer is our Community Outreach Coordinator, in charge of all things Working Women's Wednesday. She keeps us rolling right along and connected. Catherine Brown is our Client Resource Counselor. She is helping with our student interns this semester that we're really excited to have on board. Echo Bloom is a UNC social work grad student. Sheila Washington is with the Joint School of Social Work with A&T and UNCG, and we are just so excited to have them on our team and working here alongside of us in the office. And those three ladies are working with our clients, and they're going deep into the community right now. They're at the Family Justice Center. They're going to be talking to Citygate Dream Center. They've got some scheduled time with Benevolence Farm. So we are excited that they're on our team, and we hope that you'll reach out and get to know them. We are open and serving clients with safety protocols in place. We're serving them on the front porch, down at the picnic shelter, virtually over Zoom and on the phone. Over the last year, we've worked with the city of Burlington to provide over $61,000 in rent, mortgage, and utility assistance to those who have demonstrated an impact by COVID. We're continuing to serve the community in this way. So if you know of somebody who is struggling and it's because of COVID, please reach out to Catherine Brown on our team. We know that each woman who walks in our door has a unique set of tools already. And we believe that it's our function to help our clients recognize their tools, polish them up, and further build their toolkit in order to meet their own personal goals. Our program focuses on education and wraparound support to provide a foundation for a sustainable life in the community. We empower women in all different life transitions, including victims of domestic violence and justice-involved women. We provide goal setting, career and job readiness, soft skill training, financial literacy, professional development with networking opportunities. And one of the things that I think we do best is coaching and mentoring, which are key components of our daily work. We seek to develop the leader within each woman, and we meet them where they are. Women Connecting Women is a 6-part career series that involves personal branding, building their resumes, interviews with community partners. That series will start again on October the 5th. This month, we have continued to work in August, and we're leading them through goal setting and self-confidence training. Finishing out our month of September, stay tuned. I know that there's but stress management, who's not had a little bit of stress in the last 18, 19 months? Stress management is a workshop on 9/27 with Janet Ickes from our community is going to be talking about money doesn't spend itself. The 8th. And we have a full lineup in October that's coming up in addition to working to Women Connecting Women. Networking Part 3 with Leslie Flowers, our Women's Financial Summit with Erin Cockman, Healthcare in Retirement, Navigating Medicare and Beyond. That's her topic. I'm going to say that again. Healthcare in Retirement, Navigating Medicare and Beyond. You all know somebody who's thinking about retirement. They need to be a part of that workshop. Also, our friend Truliant is going to be talking about financial holiday planning. Ouch. I think I might need to be in on that one. And it's going to be followed by Trudy Tobias talking about anxiety. Now, if there's not something that creates a little anxiety, it's thinking about your finances and holiday planning, right? I think we've perfectly partnered with folks for next month to think about what's coming up and what's going to create a little anxiety in our world. Breaking up and moving on will happen again. And as Kathy's already mentioned, Working Women's Wednesday will be focused on breast care awareness. So you too can have a part in our work by referring a friend, becoming a supporter, making a donation today on our website, by also sharing our events and by attending events. And don't forget to bring a friend with you. If you're enjoying what the work that we do and you see value in it, bring somebody along. Nominate a woman that you know who's leading the way in Alamance County. We're so grateful to our sponsors for their continued support. Now, I'd like to leave you today before I introduce our speaker, because I want to give her plenty of time. Here's a quote to ponder. We've talked a lot this month about self-confidence and building self-esteem and self-care, but here's a quote. True self-care is not salt baths and chocolate cake as much as I would like to think they are. It's making the choice to build a life you don't need to regularly escape from. Brianna Wiest. Think about that for a minute. True self-care is not salt baths and chocolate cake. It is making the choice to build a life you don't need to regularly escape from. Now with that, I'd like to switch gears and tell you a little bit about our speaker today. Lindsay Wrege is the co-founder and CEO of 321 Coffee, a coffee shop and coffee roaster that's leading the way in neurodiversity inclusion. She started this company in college, and it now employs over 20 individuals of all abilities. You're going to feel her passion come through your screen, and you're going to see that firsthand the work that she's doing around having a small business with a social impact, something that's really close to my heart. In her free time, Lindsay enjoys being outside with friends and family. And Lindsay, I am going to turn it over to you. Welcome to Women's Resource Center and Working Women's Wednesday. We are delighted you are our guest today. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you all for having me today. I'm really excited to be a part of this. I am not from the Alamance area. I'm over in Raleigh, North Carolina, but I got to meet Susan a couple months back at a local, well, I think it was local, but Susan, thinking about your geography, I'm not sure how that played in, but it was in Raleigh. And yes, exactly like Susan said, I'm really passionate about combining business with social impact. I'm excited to share my story of sort of what 321 Coffee is and the why behind it. But really, I would love at the end to just leave it up for discussion and conversation, times for questions for me, for each other, to just hopefully use this time to spark innovation and drive for a next step. So to kick it off, I'd love to share a little bit about my story and my why behind starting 321. So back in elementary school, my childhood sort of had an unexpected turn. I was in kindergarten and I showed up like on the first day of kindergarten, like any other student at the time. For me, I had bleach blonde hair. I always loved spinny dresses that had pockets in them, you know, very typical kindergarten things. And again, thinking in line of what all kindergartners are going through, it's this fear on the first day of belonging and friendship. And you show up, you are in a new building, you're not with your parents. I mean, we can all relate to the fears of starting a new school. And in kindergarten, it's the first time you've ever done this. And so for me, all I really wanted on that first day was friends. And so I was at recess one day and I received an invitation to join an exclusive recess club. And we can all remember what those were like. That was going to be your place, your friends, you know, the people you were going to play hide and go seek with. It was going to be the people that you belonged to and had that community with at recess. And then hopefully, if you were lucky, maybe at nap time, you know, just like any other kindergartner. And I was really excited to receive this invitation because it finally felt like that pressure of belonging was being fixed by this answer of this recess club. Until I learned a little bit more about what this club was all about. So not only was this club exclusive in that it was invite only, it was also exclusive by the nature of their rules. In order to be in this club, you couldn't be friends with those people. And that was hard. That was hard to hear. But I was in kindergarten. I've got no friends yet. I've got no authority. All I want is that sense of community and belonging. So what is a person like me in that situation really supposed to do? Well, I ended up starting my own recess club, and I called it Friendship Club. And my rule was that if you wanted to be in this club, you had to be friends with everyone. And this experience, despite just being in kindergarten and just being at recess, really taught me the value of standing up for what you believe in and using opportunities and decisions for impact. So life is going pretty good. Kindergarten continues. More and more friends are joining my friendship club. I'm thrilled. And just like any old story, when you're on the come up, followed by a come down, I switched schools. So I go from being the president and founder, if you will, of this friendship club back to being the new kid, that outcast. I didn't know anyone again. I didn't know my way around. I felt totally alone. But then something interesting happened. At this new school, I met 3 girls who invited me to be a part of their friendship club, if you will, to be their friends. And their names were Sarah, Grace, and Anna. And what happened was that these girls and this friendship were so inclusive, and their friendship was really built on inclusion. And so we were all different in our own ways. And what made me the most different from the 3 of them is that I am neurotypical. So Grace has DeGeorge syndrome, Anna has Down syndrome, and Sarah had a stroke when she was 1. But these girls were my friends. They were the ones I got to play hide and go seek with at recess. And they were the ones who also loved the color purple. And being friends with them just highlighted the importance of seeing people for who they were. And sure, they may have walked a little different than me, and I may have talked a little different than them, but that was irrelevant. Because at the time, different wasn't scary. Different was interesting. It was a conversation starter. And once that conversation started, we really realized that we had a lot in common. Beyond just the fun that we got to have at recess, we also realized that we all loved to dance. And so we ended up in the same dance classes. Today, we realize that we all love a cheese quesadilla from our favorite Mexican restaurant, and we'll look for any excuse to go take a quick trip to the beach. And what I think is really powerful about this experience of meeting these people and these girls at such a young age is that being young demonstrates what I like to call innate inclusion. And we really all start out this way. Children are inclusive because they haven't been given a reason not to be. So being young really does 2 things. One, it eliminates any societal barriers that divide us. And second, it eliminates any societal stereotypes that limit us. So I saw these girls for who they were, and they saw me for me. And that's really powerful. So growing up with these girls as some of my closest friends, I got to just experience amazing things happen. I got to volunteer with Oceans of Hope, where I helped paraplegics surf. I've gotten to be mentored by someone named John Samuel, who is blind and launching his own tech startup. And I've gotten to work alongside someone who I'm lucky to call a friend, Matthew Schwab, who has Down syndrome and celebrated his 21st birthday with a tequila shot and then jumping out of an airplane. People are capable of amazing things, especially when they have the drive to go do it. So years later, I grew up, I had this amazing inclusive experience growing up with Grace, Sarah, and Anna as some of my closest friends. I got to meet more people in this amazing community. Like I said, I got to see amazing things happen. And years later, though, I found myself disappointed again. I was a freshman in college, and I personally had just graduated from high school with this world of opportunity ahead of me. It was college, it was picking my major, talking about studying abroad, summer internships. The list of opportunity of what's next was endless. But this reality wasn't the same for many of my friends. Many people with disabilities are able to have inclusive school opportunities throughout elementary, middle, and high school through special education programs or adaptive classrooms. But really afterwards, the opportunity drops off. So I'm a freshman in college and I'm trying to look for my first job. And I again feel like that kindergarten self being recruited by a series of another set of exclusive clubs. Only this time it was companies where my friends weren't included. 80% of adults with disabilities are unemployed. And sometimes that 20% that do get jobs are stuck doing unfulfilling tasks like cleaning the bathrooms or folding napkins. But these people are capable of so much more. So I'm a freshman in college. I'm looking for my first job. I am just trying to convince a company to hire me, to let me contribute, to prove myself that I'm worthy. I've really got no authority still. But I recognize what's missing in society, and that's this workplace inclusion. And so what is someone in my position supposed to do? Well, I started my own company, 321 Coffee. And this company was going to be a place where all could belong and all could contribute. So both in kindergarten and in college, I found myself at a true impasse to be compliant and complicit with societal norms, or to go out and make a new norm. And you know what they say, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But if it is broken, then I think you need to do something about it. And I believe that if you want to make things better, you should go out and make a better thing. So I got busy. I found 3 other people who were just as passionate and excited about this as I was. Michael Evans, Liam Dow, and Matthew Schwab. That was the guy who jumped out of the airplane. So the 4 of us came together and we recognized that this society needed this. They needed a place where that could highlight what inclusion really looked like. And we needed a place to let these adults with disabilities have a true and significant work opportunity to grow their professional skills and have meaning and purpose just like anybody else. And so we thought, all right, how does this look? What does this turn into? And we dreamed big. We envisioned a beautiful, big open air coffee shop right in the heart of downtown Raleigh. Personally, I really love those coffee shops that have the glass garage sliding doors because I think those are really pretty. Thought about cozy seating, really just creating this world this space that would totally embody inclusion and would be like the spot of Raleigh. Reality check. We are freshmen in college. We don't even really have the resources to get an espresso machine, and we aren't quite ready to sign a 10-year lease in downtown Raleigh. So instead, we figured out what we were capable of. We could stay up all night on YouTube figuring out how to build our first website. We could reach out to my freshman year suite mate who was in graphic design studies and get our first logo. And we could post about what we were doing on Facebook to just start spreading awareness. And so we did, and it worked. And all of a sudden, somebody shared that Facebook post who shared that Facebook post who ended up getting picked up by a local reporter who did a story on 321 Coffee and the work that we were starting. And that's when it felt really real. So again, we aren't quite ready for the brick and mortar lease and the espresso machines, but we've got an idea of how we could put an event together. We rented some folding tables from the student union. We bought Starbucks coffee, and we took this little setup to anywhere that would let us and offered to serve coffee for free. I reached out to some of my friends who had disabilities to see if they'd be interested in working the events, and they were. And so we just went anywhere who would let us. And luckily, free coffee was pretty popular. So we did that first event, and then it was even easier to do the second and the third. And while we still weren't quite at that grand vision that we had been imagining, we were creating something, and that something was making an impact. It was making an impact on the adults with disabilities who were able to work with us. It was making an impact on the events that we got to be a part of that were highlighting neurodiversity inclusion. And this, I think, is really critical. You can spend a lifetime agonizing over how you're going to resolve world hunger, or you can go and collect food donations and bring it to a local food pantry today. It's very easy to get overwhelmed with the scale of the problem that you're trying to solve, that you end up having blinders covering an opportunity for a first step that you can take today. So we did those folding table events. Like I said, we then moved from 1 to 2 to 3. And now all of a sudden we're on to something. We're seeking after what's next. We're building our team, and that's critical. Fortunately, we've grown. I'm proud to say that we've grown a lot since then. We now have a shop here in Raleigh. We're open 5 days a week. We employ over 20 adults with disabilities on our payroll. We roast our own coffee, and we've got plans for much, much more. But this doesn't happen overnight. And it doesn't happen by sitting around and, like I said, agonizing. So I challenge you all to think about your life. What is something that you would like to see made better? And then I challenge you to take it one step further. What is something that you could do today that could bring yourself closer to seeing that change? For me, it was building the team and renting those folding tables. Like I said, now I am proud to be a co-founder and the CEO of 321 Coffee, a coffee shop and roaster that is really built on inclusion. At our shop, they're the ones who roast the coffee. They take the orders at the cash register. They steam the milk on the latte. They run the shop. And together, we're able to demonstrate what inclusion can really look like and the power of what inclusion can bring to the workforce and to business. So we're leading the way for other companies to follow. So we can all remember some of that principle of what we learned in kindergarten, which was don't just be a tattletale. So if I think about it, in kindergarten, I could have gone to the teacher and said, those students are being mean and exclusive and they deserve a timeout. In college, I could have gone to the media and said, those companies are being mean and exclusive and they deserve a timeout. But unfortunately, that's just complaining. It's just criticism. And it's easy to complain and to criticize, but without action, it doesn't create true change. True change comes from practicing a new way and demonstrating the better. So whether you're on the at the playground or in a boardroom, one person standing up for what they believe in and doing the right thing can create that ripple effect and lead to an immense impact. So when you want to make things better, go make a better thing. Thank you all so much for the time and for listening to my story. And like I said, I would love to now open it up for just discussion. I'd be happy to answer any questions and just keep the conversation going.
Lindsay, I love your message. As you already know, I believe we met at a Rotary Club meeting.
Yes.
And you're every bit as engaging again. And hearing your story as you were the first time I heard you. I think your message is spot on. I love the idea, one, of young people seeing a problem, seeing a need, and then flat out doing something to fix it. We do want to open it up for questions from the audience and really encourage you to think about all of these different little snippets that she has mentioned. I'd like to ask a question about what can you tell us, a couple of the real nitty-gritty challenges that maybe came up that made you go, oh no, we didn't think about this.
Definitely. I mean, so the reality of myself and my team starting this venture is that we were 18. All that I had done was graduate from high school, right? I didn't have prior business experience. I hadn't started a company before. I hadn't worked at a company before. And so everything that we were doing, we were learning by doing. And so we were learning by watching those YouTube videos, by trial and error, by talking to mentors, by asking questions. And so just the nature of this, we've learned a ton, but not every time. You're not going to make the right decision every time. You just have to do your best to make the best decision you can and trust that when it doesn't work, you'll be capable of hopefully righting that wrong. And so, there was sometimes we got lucky when we came up with the name 321 Coffee. We were sitting outside at lunch one day And we're like, all right, we need to have a name. And we were thinking about it. Oh, so the significance behind the name is that the 321 represents Down syndrome, which is the third copy of the 21st chromosome. And so someone that we were sitting with was sort of thinking about Down syndrome. They realized like 321, and they were like, oh, how about 321 coffee? We're like, perfect, check, like next step, moving on to coming up with the logo. And months went by until we realized, like, oh my gosh, we probably need the URL. We need the social media handles. Is this even trademarked? Are we legally allowed to be using this? And like, beginner's luck is all that I can write it off to, but all of those things were available. And so, you know, it's things like that where that was stressful when I didn't know if all of those things were going to be available. And fortunately they were. And yeah, I mean, just figuring it out as you go. I think when you're in an entrepreneurial space, you need to always be open to a good opportunity that presents itself, even if it's not where you were originally planning. So there's been tons of events. I mean, this time last year, a company approached us about using our products as a corporate gift. And we're like, yes, absolutely, like 100% yes. Then it turns out that they need like 500 units of all of these different things. And I was like, all right, how the heck do we make this? Like, how do we pull this off? And so we ended up like taking over my entire living room. I recruited a bunch of friends by telling them I'd buy them pizza for dinner. And we were all like packaging boxes, taping, stuffing, printing out the labels, hand sticking everything to pull it off. And so I think, Susan, your question was what are some moments that are stressful, because it's not all glorious. There are plenty, and it's stuff that you get yourself into without knowing the full picture. It's stuff that, you know, we're getting ready to sign a 10-year lease. That's terrifying. And looking at these opportunities and just, like I said, trusting yourself to figure it out as you go, and learning by doing.
That's incredible. When you talk about inviting people into your living room, I immediately remembered being part of a Women's Resource Center fundraising event, and some of our board members got together in somebody's living room to make our invitations for leading the way. And it sounded just exactly like that.
Gotta get scrappy sometimes. Yep.
Yeah. So it's interesting to me how you put this together. And did you think about starting a nonprofit, or what made you go full on into a for-profit business?
Yeah, that's a great question. So 321 Coffee has actually taken a couple of different iterations throughout our lifetime. So when we first started, our original entity was actually a student organization on campus. So we were a group of students who had this idea. That was like the folding table days. So that was our first version, if you will. And it did well for us. It gave us the ability to rent conference rooms and those folding tables on campus and really make use of campus resources. But it is a student organization, and so it was limiting. So then we made the transition to being a nonprofit, which allowed us to do some local like fundraisers and GoFundMes, you know, to upgrade from the Starbucks coffee to our first coffee makers, which we bought from Target, you know, big upgrades. And the nonprofit was definitely beneficial for us in getting that community support and community buy-in. But we're actually very close, a week away from transitioning the company to being a mission-driven for-profit company, which I'm really excited about. And so we're doing this for a couple of different reasons. And the main one is that I want to make this statement that employing individuals with disabilities is not a charity. And it's not dependent on donations. And we are a coffee shop, and we are a business that happens to do this great thing. And we're going to go out and run a business and scale a business just like any other coffee company or restaurant or other business. And I think that that's really important statement to be made to truly create that ripple effect. Because if I want to convince other companies to hire individuals with disabilities, they need to know that it's a good business decision, that it's going to bring them value, and that it's not just a charity case. Being a nonprofit, we would have people ask, you know, they would buy a cup of coffee and they would ask if they could get a tax write-off for it. It was like, no, like just because someone with autism handed you a cup of coffee does not mean it's a tax write-off. And so I'm really excited for this transition and for the impact that it's going to make. And I'm excited to really start scaling and growing this business to grow our own internal impact.
I think that is just, you've said it better than anybody I've ever heard. We've struggled with that as well. You know, it's great to be a nonprofit, and it's great to create community support around your mission. But we've struggled with people thinking we serve those women, and there being this kind of image division of who we serve, when in actuality, some of our clients are people that you would be surprised, you know, that are in the community, that take advantages of all of the programs and offerings that we have available. And employing, you've actually got the idea. I think it would be awesome for the Women's Resource Center to be a business that's training and supporting women, and they're doing the work, and they're participating and earning money at the same time. You know, how great is that?
Definitely. And I mean, I think it's exactly what you're getting to. There's no reason that a business can't help people and have an impact and do a socially responsible thing as a business. Like, you don't have to be a nonprofit to do good in this world. And I think that more and more people will start, I believe, taking that ownership and empowerment themselves.
I think that's true. And, you know, you could even have the challenge that nonprofits have of demonstrating that there should be a reason that we even exist and what our outcomes are, and all of that, instead of going, yeah, they're really doing great things over there, and we want to be a part of that. You know, I could talk about this all day. I'd love to hear some questions from our audience. Who else wants to jump in there?
I'll go. Lindsay, I'm so inspired hearing your story, and just knowing your age and what you've accomplished at such a young age is really inspiring. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the employees that you work with, and if there's anything that really is kind of a special story that you want to share about them, or maybe something surprising that the folks that are on this call today may not know about your team.
Definitely. Thank you. So my employees, the baristas, like, they are, one, what makes 321 Coffee so unique, and two, is completely the reason why I feel like I wake up every morning excited to get to work on 321 Coffee. They are the blood, the life of the company, and it's so special. So yes, there's tons of stories that I can share. One that always sticks out in my mind, well, there's a couple, but that it's just the impact that they've had on me, and how, like, I feel like I am truly a better person from getting to spend time with them, both my friends that I've had growing up, as well as the baristas that I've gotten to work with recently that we've hired. And one that I think was really special was, there's a girl named Cameron who works as a barista. I guess this is a general plug. If any of you are in Raleigh, please come in and visit. And if you do that and you get to meet Cameron, just know that you are in for a treat, because she will rapid fire hit you with questions, because she just loves to chat with people and loves to hear their stories. And her questions are all around, what color is your car? You know, how do you have any siblings? What's your favorite cartoon crush? Like, it's a whole gamut of what you're going to get asked. And one time a customer came in and Cameron was chatting with her. And Cameron asked, she said, I have autism. What's your disability? And the customer was sort of like, you could tell in her face, like, I don't know what to say here. And she took a deep breath, and I was just sort of watching this experience and this interaction go down. And the customer said, you know, I'm not very good at math. And Cameron said, I love math. I can help you with math. And then moved on to the next question of, you know, what's your cartoon crush? And it just demonstrated to me, like, the power of Cameron's vulnerability and getting to know someone at such a deep level who she just met as a random customer, right? Like, it's so often that if it were me, I would say, oh, you know, lovely weather, thanks for stopping in, go check out the tomatoes, you know, very like surface level, whatever. But Cameron is really engaged with this person at a deeper level. And I think it was so powerful when you think about the potential that we each have to become vulnerable and know somebody else at that true level. What are you struggling with? How can I support you? was really special. And I think that that is something that has stuck with me as I've met new people and just learning from Cameron and putting myself out there.
I think vulnerability is a huge thing. And I think when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, it opens the door for somebody else to be and to share at a deeper level as well. Lindsay, we've got a question in the chat of how much of your funding comes from donations, and will those donations go away when you switch to the profit mode?
Yeah, great question.
Talk about that.
Yeah, so once we switch to being a for-profit, we will no longer be able to like accept donations for a tax write-off. Fortunately, our business is not at all dependent on donations. So all of the, if we sell a cup of coffee for $3, $4, $5, and that is baked in enough profit after paying cost of goods and labor and rent and all of those other things, such that we have a viable business model. So yes, we will lose the ability to accept donations, but it is not a vital part of our business. And so I'm excited for the doors that it's going to open.
Did you have to get to a certain dollar amount as a nonprofit with your side gig, so to speak, before you made that switch to a for-profit business? I mean, because I know that there's some sticky issues around that as a nonprofit.
It was definitely more of a transition, like an involved transition than I was expecting. Like, we've been working on this for about 6 months now. There was no dollar threshold for us. It was thinking about scalability and growth of the company and the vision. And we were just recognizing that in order to go grow and make the impact that we wanted to do, the nonprofit was really going to limit our ability to do that, and especially do it quickly. And so that was ultimately one of what triggered the switch.
Okay, cool. Do we have other questions? Feel free to put them in the chat or unmute yourself and jump right in. We'd love a little bit more conversation today.
Hey, Susan, can I take a turn?
Please.
Hi, Lindsay. I am curious. One of the things that we do at the Resource Center every now and then is we help entrepreneurs with some classes that Susan and the folks there do. What do you find was the area that you needed the most help? Because what you're describing sounds undaunting to me, and I am just fascinated that you were able to navigate what seems to be pretty complicated business development. Where did you need the most help?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think a big thing was that I didn't know what I didn't know. Like, when I decided that we wanted to do events, insurance was not at all on my mind. We did need insurance. And so then once we figured that out, we needed to figure out, how do we get insurance? Who do I talk to? What type of insurance? All of those things as an example. And so I think having connections to people who had done this before and who were a couple steps ahead to help fill in my blind spots was really, really valuable. The second thing that came to mind is just the financial background and foundation that a business is built on. I understood if I need to go open a shop, I need to count how much am I going to need to spend on equipment? What about rent? What about labor? And now I need that much money to go start this. But beyond that, looking at cash flow statements. So if we don't run out of money, profit and loss, so that you can tell the health of the business, balance sheets, so that you understand the worth of what you're working with, all of those things. This couple months ago sat down with one of my mentors, and really he walked me through, how do you build a financial model? How do you think about all of these different things? What do you need to consider before you go raise money from investors? All of those sorts of things that so much of business is built on. And that, I think, was one of the best things that I've learned since coming to college. It was so practical and it was so useful. And I think that knowing what I know now, I feel very confident in my financial understanding of business, even outside of the coffee industry. And I think that more people need to understand that. Absolutely. Thank you for asking, and thank you for thinking about ways to help others. I think that's so important.
So there's a question, how do you stay inspired? How do you remain in a state of openness to continue to do big things and realize your big dreams?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of it stems from being in a space that you are naturally excited to get to work on something and the people that you get to work with. So for me, I'm very energized by other people. And like I said, I get to go to this shop and get to hang out with the baristas and, sit down and say, like, all right, guys, like, what would be awesome to do? And they say, like, I want to go to Disney World. And it's like, okay, what if we put 10% of profits into like an employee fun bucket? And then once we hit that threshold, yeah, let's go take everyone to Disney World. I haven't told them yet because I don't want to get them to get their hopes up, but like, that would be so fun. And so thinking big and just, your question of how do you stay openness, I think that's so important because you can think one thing and then COVID hits and we're about to sign a lease for a downtown Raleigh space, but now everything is like closed and not allowed to open. Like, all right, new plan. Let's start roasting our own coffee. You've gotta stay agile. And sometimes it's, because of a pandemic, and sometimes it's because you've had a blind spot to a great opportunity that you're just now seeing. I think another element of it for me is the fun of I get to do something completely new every day. And sometimes it's exhausting because in a small business and in the entrepreneurship space, I wear a lot of different hats. I'm pitching on the sales team, but I'm also working with lawyers and I'm also showing up to manage the operations some days. And, you're all over the place, but it's a little tiring, but it's also really fun. And so just finding what energizes you, for me, it's problem solving. And so putting myself in a position to get to do that every day. The same with your team. If you've got someone who's just naturally loves to talk to people, don't force them to work on insurance. Put them in a position to bring on new partners. Put them in a position to pitch to new customers. Do that for yourself and do it for others.
That's a great answer. Somebody's asked if you have graduated from college and what was your major?
Yes, thanks for asking. I just graduated back in May. Yes, that was a fun time of the year. And I graduated with a degree in business administration and a concentration in entrepreneurship.
Congratulations. Sheila Washington, you have a question?
I do have a question, and I was going to ask the question about college. So I'm not surprised at all that you have a degree in business administration and entrepreneurship, because that's exactly what you're doing. And I was listening to you saying how tough it can be to wear all of those different hats. And I was thinking, such is the life for a CEO, okay? Many of us would like to be able to wear that hat or those hats. So kudos to you. I just wanted to just tell you how you've energized me today. And I'm looking forward to coming to Raleigh just so that I can come by 321 and meet Cameron and the others. I've looked at the website and saw all of the names of all of your people there, and I'm just really excited about it. So I just had that little plug I wanted to throw out there at you and tell you that you made my day. You really did. Thank you, Lindsay.
Sheila, thank you for all of those kind words, for I can't wait for you to come to Raleigh. Please let me know when you come. I would love to hopefully meet you there. At bare minimum, can't wait for you to meet the baristas, meet Cameron. Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
Well, I have some family members over there, so I'm going to send them by. I definitely will tell them.
Fantastic.
That's great. There's some more questions about does your website have a place to do gift orders?
Yes, so I'm going to drop the link in the chat for our website shop page. So yes, you can order this to bring coffee to yourself, or you can go here and ship it to somebody else. And in the note, you can leave, when you're checking out, you can leave a note that says like, this is a gift for so-and-so. We're happy to go in and write like a happy holidays from Stephanie, or, whatever, if that's appropriate. Thank you for asking, because we're really excited about having the online presence and just being able to have people who aren't physically in Raleigh engaging with 321 Coffee and supporting the mission.
There's another question about seeking out like-minded businesses to partner with for supplies. How do you source that?
Yeah, I'm really glad this got brought up. So I'm really big into the world of like supplier diversity. And if you've got this mission, so for us, our mission is all about inclusion and social business. And I'm really proud of how we can do that internally. But it's more than just the people that I'm going to employ. When you start thinking about who am I going to buy from, you know, what other businesses, if I need to buy pastries and baked goods for the shop, you know, I could just go to Food Lion and buy it, but I could also look out for another vendor and give them my business. And I think that that's so powerful. So yes, we absolutely do. So for our baked goods, for example, we buy from a Raleigh-based company called A Place at the Table, which is a pay what you can cafe. And so they provide healthy and delicious food to everyone, regardless of means. So when you go there, you have the opportunity to pay the suggested price, to pay more than, to pay less than, or to volunteer for your meal, which is just such a great concept. And people doing both is what makes the business viable. And so, like I said, I'm so proud to be able to buy from them and to support them. And I'm proud of my customers are getting to support 321 and A Place at the Table. And so it's just such a great full circle of support. Another area that we do this is in, you know, we're a coffee shop, we have cups. I don't want it to be like a single-use plastic cup. I want it to be a compostable, fair trade, well-manufactured product that is also supporting environmental sustainability. And so it's, again, finding multiple ways to really walk the walk. We've also been engaging with other businesses sort of on the flip side of this. If you're a company and you've got a coffee in your break room, you could buy it from Starbucks, or you could wholesale from 321 Coffee. And then all of a sudden, just by buying coffee from us, you're helping create these work hours for our team of roasters, from the people who are packaging, who are fulfilling, who are running shipping. Again, all of these people who have disabilities, that those hours are really meaningful. And so this is a really long answer to, yes, we do look for other like-minded organizations through our supply chain. And I think supplier diversity and just thinking about more ways to walk the walk is so important.
I see your passion is infectious. That I knew. That's awesome. So there's a question about how you build your network. I think you kind of touched on that. But if you've got something else you'd like to share about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just talking to anyone and everyone that you can. And I know that's not novel, but it's so true, because you don't know who is going to have exactly like what you need, or who they're going to know that you need to know. And just sharing your story, sharing your why, sharing what you're doing, sharing what you need help with. That's so important. I think so often people get stuck in the, oh yeah, I'm working on 321 Coffee, we're at this coffee shop, done, like end of conversation. But if you share like, yeah, I'm looking to connect with someone from Apple and Google, because those are two big companies coming to the Raleigh area and I want to partner with them. If I want to share, yeah, I'm also looking to partner with other companies in Raleigh or beyond to use our coffee in their break room, because this is a new arm of the business that I'm really hoping to grow. I'm looking to connect with people who are sending out holiday gifts to their friends or to their companies. And we're launching a new holiday gifting program to make a personalized holiday box for others to use. So like sharing these sorts of nuggets gives people the opportunity to help. And luckily, a lot of people out there want to help. And so if you tell them how to, it opens the door for them to engage, and, you know, maybe then they ask for your help in something, and then you're both elevating each other and you're both winning, which is great.
Great answers. We do want you to share your contact in the info in the chat. So here's another question. Have you connected or collaborated with the founders of A Special Blend in Greensboro?
Yeah, so I have not actually met them, but I know of them and we follow each other on social media and they've got such great posts and we're always excited to support them. I've never actually been to Greensboro, but whenever I do get there, I definitely plan on stopping by. We were actually even talking with them at one point. They were looking for a new light roast coffee and we were talking with them about potentially using our coffee. So yes, they're great people. I haven't gotten to meet them personally, but I hear great things. And we've had people that we work with in Raleigh who used to work with them who are maybe from Greensboro. So yes, there's a lot of great people out there doing great things.
There's another restaurant in Greensboro called Chez Janice that does like breakfast, lunch kinds of things too. It's downtown on South Elm Street and works with people the same way you do.
Fantastic. I guess I'll just have to make a trip to Greensboro to check all this out.
All right. Do we have other questions?
There was a question in the chat that said, what's your next big thing? What's your next big dream? Yeah, because I'm gonna piggyback on whatever you're gonna do. I'm gonna try to I'm gonna hitch my wagon to your star. Okay, tell me.
Well, thank you. So, well, my next big dream with 321 is I want to go make this big. I want to have multiple locations. I want to have these big partnerships. We've got one with a tech company in Raleigh that I'm super excited about. They're building their new headquarters. It's on track to open in January. And we are going to have a cafe up on their 19th floor for all of their employees to have as a part of their everyday life. I'm so excited about this and I want to go do that with other companies. I want to start having a statewide, nationwide presence where we regularly have people from all over the country subscribe to our coffee. I really think we're onto something. I think we've got the team to make it happen, from both the baristas, the managers, the execs, the mentors. And I'm really excited. I think we've got a busy 12 months ahead of us, but I'm really, really excited.
That's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you all for the kind words in the chat too.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
Lindsay, how have you found and recruited your baristas?
Yeah, so in the beginning it was my friends, and then I reached out to them to say like, hi, would you like to be involved? Who else do you know? But since then, this just emphasizes the problem that we're solving. People have found us. And we actually now have a wait list of up to 50 people with disabilities in the area wanting a job at 321 Coffee. We don't currently have that to offer, so we've started making the list. So when we open these new locations, we know who to reach out to. But it's people who have come to our shop, who see a story about us, who see us on the news, that want that supportive work environment, and unfortunately are not getting it in other places. And so, you know, I'm proud of the people that we've gotten to work with thus far, but I know there's more work to be done.
That's amazing.
I think this is so exciting. It's so refreshing to hear about what you're doing. And I can't wait to come see you all.
Yes, we would love that. And thank you all for just being so supportive. Would love for you all, if you are active on social media, to follow us, to just stay engaged. Our handle is just drink321 coffee. I'll put that in the chat. We also have a newsletter that's monthly. Again, if you want to just stay involved with what we've got going on, it's on our website, but I can find the link there and send that as well. But yes, and if you are ever come to Raleigh, please come visit. If I'm there, please say hi. If not, our team is fabulous. You will love them.
Definitely.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions? Well, Lindsay, we really want to thank you so much for your energy and your infectious passion about the work that you're doing. Kathy, I'll turn it over to you to close out.
Awesome. Lindsay, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being with us. Appreciate your enthusiasm, and it is contagious. And I am myself an an entrepreneur and am looking for and continuously look for people who are inspiring. We can do big things when we're inspired. And I think when we surround ourselves with folks who are doing inspiring things, we can only make the world better. Again, thank you all so much for coming, for joining us during this lunch hour, for not opting to curl up on the couch with a book and a blanket. Let's see, our next Working Women's Wednesday, don't forget, will be October 27th, same time, same place. We look forward to eventually having in-person events. Can't wait to do that. Really appreciate you all. Let us know how we can continue to support our community if you have ideas for us. Thank you all.